Before moving here to Houston, Texas, this is a must-watch video. Howdy friend, my name is Paul with Traditions Realty, and this is a must-watch video because not only am I gonna go over some of the most popular areas that people are relocating to when they move here to Houston, but I'm also gonna share with you the process of going about and finding the right area for you so you don't hate your life here. And at the end of this video, I'm gonna share with you the #1 mistake I see people making when they relocate here to Houston. So let me share with you these great areas through the eyes of one of my clients that was relocating here to Houston, and to share with you a little bit more about their experience in finding a great area that fits their family and their lifestyle. So my client started out looking in the Kingwood area. Now Kingwood is on the northeastern part of downtown Houston. So you just start downtown and go up I-69 to get to Kingwood. So the commute's not terrible. You obviously will have some traffic during rush hour, but it's a decent commute to get to downtown Houston. So Kingwood is great because they call it the livable forest, and it is some dense forest where they built Kingwood, but it's very nice because you have walking trails and dense forest in the medians and throughout the area, and so it just feels nice. So if you work in Houston or anywhere and you come home, just really have a cool feeling of, hey, I'm coming home to retreat in the forest. They also liked that it was close to Bush Intercontinental Airport. So if you travel a lot, it's a great location, to get right there to Bush, travel wherever you need to go and get home. So you're not, getting home from the airport and fighting traffic for an hour. It's just right there. The other great thing about Kingwood in the Humboldt area is that you're close to 3 lakes. Lake Houston right here. And so you can boat, you can jet ski, water ski, get out and enjoy some lake life. But then you're also somewhat close here to Lake Conroe. And then also just further up north off 69 is Lake Livingston. And so if you really enjoy the lake life, hey, living here in Kingwood's a great opportunity to really enjoy that and be pretty close to 3 really great lakes. So my clients liked Kingwood, they liked the forest aspect of it, but they're looking for something a little bit more recently built. And Kingwood does have some newer homes. A lot of that is kind of the further up here, but most of Kingwood was built, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and some in the early 2000s. And so they're looking for something a little bit newer. And so it wasn't just the perfect fit for them. And so they looked a little further west into the Woodlands next. So hey, real quick, in this video, I'm going over some of the best suburbs that people consider moving to and what my clients went through when they decided on an area to move to. But if you want to move into the city of Houston itself, check out this video next where I go into all the areas of Houston explained and dive into deeper, understanding what Houston's like. And then also if you find an area you're considering, check out some of the videos on my channel. And if you need help finding a great home to purchase, I'd be honored to help you. Please call or text me now, or even reach out to schedule a consultation. There's a link in the comments below. I'd be honored to help you find a great house in a great area here in Houston. So let's move on to the next area that my clients considered. So the next area they looked at was the Woodlands. And the Woodlands is just kind of northwest from Kingwood. You could probably get there through Grand Parkway or go around Beltway 8 and meander your way up that way. But the Woodlands is up here, and it has been rated multiple times as one of the best places to live in the United States, and obviously here in the greater Houston area, which is fantastic. It's a wonderful place to live. Very similar to Kingwood, where it has just very dense forest and just beautifully well done with walking trails and lakes and ponds and tons of great amenities and highly rated schools. So it has just a ton going for it. Some of the challenges that, it's, some of the most expensive real estate in the city per square foot. And also a lot of the homes are older. So yeah, my clients were looking for a luxury home that's a little more recently built. And so it was a little bit of a challenge to find something here in the Woodlands for them. So in the Woodlands, they have tons of things being built kind of up toward Conroe. And then also out toward Magnolia, but all the Woodlands, this Woodlands proper, the city of Woodlands, is pretty much all built out. So if you want something new or recently built, you're gonna have to go a little bit further outside of the Woodlands. The other great thing about the Woodlands is there's just so much to do. They have the Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion, which is right here. also the Woodlands Mall, and then also the Waterway District. So they just have tons of shopping. You have places to work, eat, and live all right there. So it's kind of its own little city town center. And then in addition to the Woodlands with all the great neighborhoods and sections of it, really just makes the Woodlands a wonderful place to live. So again, my clients really enjoyed the forest aspect of it, and they liked how it was well designed and lots of shopping, but it wasn't a great fit for them. Again, they wanted something a little more recently built, and they didn't want to go too far outside the Woodlands, so they ended up crossing the Woodlands off their list. Okay, so I've gone over Kingwood, which is up here, and the Woodlands. I'm gonna move a little further south, a little bit out of the order that my clients went in looking for an area, but the next area I wanna review is Clear Lake. Now, Clear Lake is just south down I-45. You have Clear Lake, Friendswood, League City, very popular areas to move to. Clear Creek ISD is a great school district and is highly regarded. And there's lots of things to do here, especially if you're not from the Houston area. You definitely have to check out NASA Space Center. It should be like right over here. It's a great tour. I just took my family there last year. Ton of fun. Go in the cooler months. We went during the summer. It was fine, but go in the cooler months. Really enjoy going outside because they have you traveling around to the different parts of NASA. But Clear Lake and Friendswood, they're great because you can get to downtown Houston rather quickly off I-45. Obviously, you're gonna have some traffic just getting into and out of Houston during rush hour, but it is a straight shot. And it's a great location if you enjoy being close to the coast, if you like fishing or enjoying the beach. You have, just down I-45, you have Galveston. And so tons of fishing and great things to do right there. And so that's definitely a short drive to get to the beach. So some of the areas, they liked, they liked Friendswood, they liked Clear Lake, and kind of taking a peek there. Again, Friendswood's a little bit more recently built, a lot of the 90s or early 2000s, kind of some mid 2000s. And all the buildings with the new homes are kind of further south in Dickinson and kind of working its way toward Alvin. And so that's where most of the building is. Dickinson is growing. There's lots of new areas there, but they just didn't love the area. It just wasn't a great fit for them. Even though they love enjoying the beach and so forth, they're just like, we don't have to live here. And really most of Houston, it's not a far commute to Galveston if you need to get out for the day. Usually about an hour to hour and a half, depending on where you live. It's really not too bad, so it wasn't a huge determining factor for them. So from Friendswood and Clear Lake, they moved a little further west into Pearland. Now, Pearland's great for a couple of reasons. One, if you're looking for, suburban living, but being as close to, let's say, the medical center or downtown as possible, it's gonna be one of the best options for you. They just redid 288, and so getting to the medical center as well as to downtown Houston, it's really a straight shot. It's probably one of your fastest, especially if you're in Shadow Oaks or other parts of Pearland right here, which is some of the more newer areas, and obviously most of the buildings going on further south toward Manville and Arcola. And so that's where you can find some really great houses, affordable, as well as some luxury homes. The city of Pearland is kind of like, the city of Katy and some of these other small towns. Just it's a small town, and then is now grown to a big suburb. And I personally like kind of downtown. I like that old world feel to the neighborhoods. And Pearland is kind of an old small town, and they've got some little neighborhoods kind of all around it as it's expanded. And I personally like it, but it was not a good fit for my clients. They, again, enjoyed the commute there to get to downtown if that's where the office was gonna be, but it just didn't feel right for them. Pearland didn't make their top 3 list. From Pearland, they moved further west to check out Sugar Land. Now, Sugar Land is right over here. It's right down 69, so you do have some decent access if you need to get to the Galleria, Greenway Plaza, Medical Center, as well as downtown. So obviously you're gonna find some traffic on I-69 during rush hours like any of these major roadways in Houston, but it also has a pretty decent commute, maybe a little bit worse than Pearland. So the nice thing about Sugar Land is some beautiful neighborhoods, have some really highly rated schools, and but it's a little bit of a smaller area. You know, Sugar Land's really just kind of, this is kind of a rough outline, not 100% correct. It's probably a little bit of Missouri City there, but that kind of gives you an idea of just how, the city limits look. And so it's a smaller area, and so all the new development is kind of further out here in Richmond, in this part of Richmond. And then also they're still building Siena, which is just a massive master plan community. The nice thing is that you have what the Fort Bend County Toll Road right there. So you do have some great access to Beltway 8 to get in to the Med Center, Gallery, or whatever. And Sugar Land's great because it's pretty much self-contained. They have the Smart Financial Center, which is right over here. So it's an indoor theater hall, so they have concerts all the time, events and things going on. They also have the Space Cowboys right over here, which is a minor league affiliate of the Houston Astros. So not only do they have baseball and other things to do throughout the year like Christmas light tours, they also have concerts and other events going on there. So Sugar Land is kind of self-contained. It's its own animal, and there's lots of great shopping right here in Sugar Land Town Center and the mall, and some really great restaurants. And so Sugar Land's fantastic, and my clients enjoyed Sugar Land so much so that they put it on their top 3 list. And so that was what they liked about it. There are some luxury houses built not too far away, and Riverstone's not too far, and so they did have some options there, some neighborhoods they liked. They're hoping to be as late as the late 2000s, maybe early 2000s, late 90s, and so they did have some options there, which was good to keep on the list. And moving a little bit further west was Richmond, and kind of Richmond area is kind of right all over here. And Richmond's great, tons of great new homes, but it just wasn't an area they felt like was a good fit for them. So they moved a little bit further up north and focused more on Katy. Katy's right over here. So Katy's a straight shot from downtown over here, and it too has tons of great shopping. Maybe not quite as self-contained as maybe Sugar Land feels, but it is a great area. The schools are highly rated. There's tons of shopping. We have Katy Mills Mall. You have La Centera over here. Great restaurants all up and down I-10. You have the Katy Asian Mart or area, I forget what it's called, but tons of great restaurants and shopping. And again, some really highly rated schools. So Katy is a fantastic option, and they really enjoyed Katy. So they liked Katy because of its proximity to the energy corridor, which is right around here, as well as Memorial City and that area, which is what has lots of oil and gas companies moving to, and then also the Galleria. And so having that location where the commute is not too bad for these areas where naturally fit with where their office was most likely going to be located. It really was a no-brainer as far as the location-wise. And so that was, made their top 3 lists as well. Real quick, if you're finding some value out of this video, please like and subscribe. And do me a quick favor of comment if you are looking to relocate here to Houston. What area are you coming from, and what areas are you considering moving to? The next areas they considered was a little further up north, and that was Tomball. Tomball has a highly rated school district, some really great homes recently built, but it just, again, there wasn't a great location for them. You do have Highway 99 and 249 here, but again, they were kind of worried, hey, we want to stay closer here to maybe the energy corridor and the Galleria and that whole corridor there where office was potentially going to be located. Again, they didn't know for sure, but they kept thinking, okay, this is more likely where it's going to be. And so they're thinking, okay, Tomball's great, but probably just a little bit too far. A little further southwest from Tomball is Cypress. And Cypress is a very popular area, has some really great schools, and it is right up 290. And so you can get into the Galleria, you can get to downtown, you can get to Memorial City, as well as the energy corridor. And so Cypress was another option for them. And so they really liked that one. 290 is great. They widened it a little while back. Obviously, so they're going to have traffic in all these areas. during rush hour. But they did love Bridgeland and Town Lake, and Fairfield was a little bit older, but that was another great neighborhood. So again, they're looking for more recently built luxury homes, and Cypress checked a lot of those boxes. They also love that there was a mix of, some, heavily dense forests, especially as you get a little bit further up Cypress, kind of toward Tomball. Right up there, you'll find a lot more forests, whereas when you get further south of 249, it tends not to have as much. Again, it was nice for them, but it wasn't a deal breaker or anything. And Cypress has a lot of great restaurants right along 290 here, as well as down Highway 6. And then also you can go find some more right on the Bridgeland Town Center right over here. And so if you're living in Bridgeland or Town Lake, you have a lot of options for great restaurants as well as shopping. So after lots of driving around, considering all their options, they ended up with their top 3 lists, which included Cypress, Katy, and Sugarland. And these are fantastic areas that many people relocate to, and maybe we've been able to help because they have some really great schools, lots of great shopping. It has some really great master plan communities and variety of luxury homes and areas. And so it fit a lot of their boxes, as well as trying to get into these potential area for work is kind of where they were thinking. And so that's how they narrowed it down to their top 3 areas. And ultimately, they ended up selecting Katy. And they loved Katy because there was a few areas that had some really great secluded luxury neighborhoods that were zoned to some really great schools. And so they focused on those for them to be able to purchase a great house. And so they focused on those, and thankfully we were able to find a great home at a great price and negotiate it down. But again, it kind of goes to show you the process of finding a great home here in Houston. It's not just, hey, I like this home, but if it doesn't fit what's important and priorities to you and your family, then there's no point in buying it, right? Why would you buy something that's not fits in line with the rest of how you live and what's important to you? So here's a quick little framework to help you better narrow down to an area that fits best for you and your lifestyle and budget. Number 1 is really just figuring out what's important to you. What are your priorities? How far away do you want to live from work and commuting to work or family and friends? Also, what type of lifestyle do you prefer to live? Do you like the slow, quiet nature and pace of suburban life with more yard and some higher rated schools? Or do you like kind of the fast pace of living close to downtown with great restaurants and events and things going on all the time? Or do you like something where in between? Figure out what's important to you, and that's obviously going to help direct your search. And number 2 is always important to do, and that's to determine what your budget is. So after you figure out your priorities and your location, then once your budget's set, then you're really just figuring out, okay, this area fits my lifestyle, my budget, and that area. And then you have a list of areas. And then from there, you just kind of go through a process of elimination, which is step 3, to really figure out what area do you want to live in? What area fits your lifestyle and budget the best? And you start crossing that off until you find one particular area, or maybe even 2, with a few neighborhoods or sections or portions of that area that you feel comfortable living in. So it's really kind of a process of going through that, and I'm happy to help you. You can also check out some other information that we have here on our channel for going through the home buying process in Houston. And so that is a simple framework for helping you to narrow down what's a good spot to live in Houston. All right, and so now on to the number 1 mistake that I see people make all the time when moving here to Houston. And that's really related to just how big Houston is. And I hear it all the time from my clients. They're like, hey, Houston's big, but I didn't realize how spread out it really is. And so you can live in Houston and, not make it to one other area because it's just so far out. So I've had clients where they say, hey, I've got family in like Kingwood, for example, but we really like, Katy and Fulshire. And I was like, hey, that's awesome. But how often do you want to see each other? Like, is this like once a month or like once every 6 months? And they say, well, yeah, we'd like to see them, a couple times a month. And I was like, that's great. But if you live in Fulshire and want to drive up to Kingwood, you're probably looking at, hour and 15, hour and 30 minutes, depending on traffic. And so you'd almost rather live in, Dallas. You'd probably see them about the same amount of times because driving an hour and 15, hour 30 minutes there, hour and 15, hour 30 minutes, that's you're basically like a whole afternoon or a whole day. Don't overestimate how long and how far these places are to get to. And so live closer to family, live closer to work if you can. But that's the number one mistake that I see people making all the time when they move here to Houston. And again, to learn all about Houston, especially living inside the city of Houston, watch this video on the top of the screen.